I mean, give me a left-wing Hillary policy, like a really left-wing Hillary policy.
I couldn't tell you, but that's
Exactly.
I'm not.
David Pakman recently dropped by Patrick Bet-David's podcast, The Bro Biz, for a fiery debate. It was a showcase of how Pakman, with his sharp facts, totally took apart the MAGA-fueled arguments from Patrick Bet-David. We're going to dive into these clips from the Patrick Bet-David show and break down their contrasting styles and, honestly, their intelligence levels. I'll toss in my 2 cents as we go through this, so let's get into it and see what went down.
Opinion of the U.S. has dramatically improved since Biden replaced Trump. I think that matters. I'm not an isolationist, so I think it's important that other countries respect the office of the presidency. And under Trump, it was a joke, literally laughed at the UN, goes to India, mispronounces 10 Indian names, and the crowd is just leaving. It was a humiliation everywhere he went. So I think that's it's like a soft thing that I think is really good.
So the fact that we're no longer feared is a good thing.
I don't know where you're getting that we are no longer feared.
So you think people fear Biden?
What I'm asking you is what data do you have that we are no longer feared?
Well, that's what data is not any data to give. I mean,
then how do you know it is?
Well, no, but during Biden is when Russia felt comfortable bullying Ukraine. During Biden is even if you look at Afghanistan on the way we left, people on the left were not happy by the way we left Afghanistan.
Which people?
Even 82 billion. I can give you a lot of different names.
Like who?
CIA. Who was the CIA guy that we had here who was on
Philip Mudd
with a Z? What's his name?
Matt Zeller.
Matt Zeller, CIA agent who was on MSNBC. He called them out. He was on MSNBC with.
Quick point about Afghanistan. All these right-wingers like Patrick Bet-David really didn't care about the mess in Afghanistan. The lives lost, the trillions of dollars flushed away. None of that mattered to them. It only became an issue when Biden pulled out. So Patrick Bet-David? Total hypocrisy. They're all just full of it.
But that's one person, right?
No, but there's a lot of them though. If I actually pull it up and if I do the Google search on it, I'll find plenty of names from their own side.
Let's do it. That's fine. But I think one important thing to back up is you first kind of gave me what's not really a very fair question. You go, are you not worried that the U.S. is no longer feared?
So you're saying they don't fear you?
But hold on. Let me finish my response. Okay.
Yeah.
You first presented to me, and these are a lot of conversations go like this. You present to me, is it not a concern to me that the U.S. is no longer feared? And I said, well, where are you getting that? Where's the data? You go, there is no data. So let's first start with.
What I said is it's not the fear. I didn't say there's no data. You can't pull data. Meaning you can't find data on fear.
Then how do you know that that's
fear
the
is
case?
action? Fear is action. Did during Trump Russia attack Ukraine?
No, that's not. Yeah.
What happened with Palestine and Israel?
What happened?
What happened? They came together after 20 some years.
What?
What are you talking about when you say
what? What are you talking about? Hold on.
Well, he moved the capital to Jerusalem, is what you're saying.
So let's.
I don't know if there's
that.
been peace in the Middle East or anything like that.
Has there been any progress on peace?
Very limited.
It wasn't the capital. Did moving the embassy?
The embassy.
Hold on
correct,
a second. Let me ask the question. Did moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem get us closer to peace, or did it get us further away? Do either of you guys know? I don't know if you've studied this issue.
There's arguments on both ends, but it has not led to peace and prosperity in Palestine, correct?
Did Trump promise, there's a very critical, clear question. Did Trump promise that Jared Kushner would solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict during the first term?
That's
just a yes, no. Did he promise it?
I don't know if he promised it or promises made, promises kept. He was assigned to that duty.
And did it happen?
Did what happen?
Did Jared negotiate peace?
But I don't think anybody believed that peace was happening in the Middle East.
So it's okay for him to make promises that are obvious lies?
But make the argument. Go back to the argument about the fact that America on all polls today is, would you say, liked? What was the word you used?
So I think the really important thing when we talk about this is we talk about what we can measure. So the Gallup polling that has been done.
So you trust polls?
Oh, come on.
But that's where we're going, though.
So, where are we getting our data from? Are we just supposed to take Patrick Bet-David's feelings as the gospel on how other countries view the United States? No way. We need to look at actual polling data, see what our allies really think. Under Trump, our allies were on edge. They didn't know what the heck he would do next, which is a terrible spot to be in when you're dealing with treaties and international agreements. Imagine Germany, for example, cutting a deal with the Biden administration and then having no clue if a wild card like Trump might come back and just scrap the whole thing. It's a real concern.
There are lots of different...
I trust certain polls too, but I'm saying, so you trust polls?
If you say, do I trust a Rasmussen Republican primary poll 18 months before an election, I would say that's not very valuable. I don't think that's valuable. The Gallup Public Opinion Sentiment poll that has been done over many, many presidents in the same way, I think that that's a pretty good poll just to give a sense of how the world feels about the American president. I have no reason to distrust that. There are other polls where I would have a specific reason to distrust. But we're kind of going like 10 tangents here. I think if we want to talk about, am I upset that the U.S. isn't feared, since you brought that question forward, the appropriate thing would be for you to give me the data.
But no, go back to what you said. You said U.S. is what? You said you like the fact that U.S. is liked more today under Biden?
No, I didn't use that term.
What was the term you used, if you don't mind saying it again?
On average, countries respect the U.S. more now that Biden is president and Trump
you
is
value that.
I think it's important because can I tell you why?
Sure.
I think it's important because between trade and globalization and problems we deal with that don't respect the borders of countries, it's important to be, again, it's not about liked, it's not about, it's to be respected globally. I do think that actually matters.
So why do you think they didn't like or respect Trump?
So, where are we getting our data from? Are we just supposed to take Patrick Bet David's feelings as the gospel on how other countries view the United States? No way. We need to look at actual polling data, see what our allies really think. Under Trump, our allies were on edge. They didn't know what the heck he would do next, which is a terrible spot to be in when you're dealing with treaties and international agreements. Imagine Germany, for example, cutting a deal with the Biden administration and then having no clue if a wild card like Trump might come back and just scrap the whole thing. It's a real concern.
Let's see what you're going to say with that. Why do you think? Tell me.
The guy's a joke.
He is?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us why. And Biden's not a joke.
Well, we can talk about Biden.
Oh, because Biden's like the GOAT and Trump's the joke.
Why on earth wouldn't we want other countries to respect us? Under Trump, we were a joke, literally disrespected on the global stage. Trump kept saying other countries were laughing at us, but let's be clear, they were laughing at him and his followers. Patrick Bet David might not be the sharpest tool in the shed because honestly, even he should be able to grasp this simple fact.
Joke.
No.
Okay, so
I'm critical
tell us why he's a joke.
But I think it's important to say, are we talking about Trump or are we talking about Biden?
No.
We can talk about both,
identify
but let's
both.
talk about them one at a time.
Stay on Trump.
Okay,
Stay on Trump
fair.
when he says he's a joke. Tell us why you think he's a joke.
Promises made that were not kept that he told us he was going to achieve for us. Let's look at some of them. I'm going to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with, his word, a beautiful replacement where everyone will have care and it's going to be affordable. Okay. Just flat out didn't happen. The one proposal that Republicans made would have led to 24 to 32 million people losing health care. I consider that a failure. I don't think Obamacare is perfect, but it's better than the thing Trump said he was going to bring us. That was just a failure. 2, build a wall across the entire U.S.-Mexico border, which Mexico is going to pay for. It's not even worth having a conversation. I mean, just a joke. Of course, completely didn't happen. Solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. No progress made. In fact, to be honest, and this is, if we want to delve into that, moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem got us further from that because it's seen as a sort of a taunting measure if you understand the internal politics of what's going on there. Was going to, made some space travel promises. I mean, I can't think of promises he made that he did keep other than
build the wall.
I guess
he definitely didn't keep that promise and Mexico was going to pay for it.
Yes, he was going to do tax reform and he did tax reform. So as a policy matter, a complete and total failure. I do think maybe the First Step Act on criminal justice reform did some good things. I'm sort of glad to give him credit on that. But so, on policy, failure. And then, on rhetoric, we could spend 3 hours just looking at quotes.
So I'm curious to see exactly how you think now. So
Yeah.
if COVID doesn't happen, does he get reelected?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because his followers don't care about policy. I interview them all the time, and I say...
His followers don't care about policy.
They don't care about achievements. They care about Hillary bad, Hillary Marxist, Hillary socialist.
You think Hillary's good?
Did I say that?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, no. I don't think Hillary was a good candidate, and she's to my right. No, I don't think Hillary's good, but I thought she was better than Trump.
She's to your right.
She's to my right. Yeah, Hillary
So
is
she'd
a
be
very...
a moderate, conservative Democrat in your world.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, give me a left-wing Hillary policy, like a really left-wing Hillary policy.
I couldn't tell you, but that's
Exactly.
I'm not.
Of course, because Patrick Bet David is not someone who engages in facts. It's all about what he's feeling.
But it's not the point. But you're saying you would much rather have a Hillary than a Trump.
I would rather.
Okay, so go back to
Much rather, I don't know.
So go back to he gets reelected. Why? Because his voters could care less about policies.
They
That's what you're
couldn't
saying.
care less.
Fine, no problem. So, but we both know that it's not the right that elects him, and it's not the left that elects whoever on the left. It's whoever's in the middle,
Not true.
the 8 to 12% that kind of says, you know what, I'm going to go this side, this time around, or versus more people come out for, their candidate, meaning a lot
Not
of people
really
would
true.
come out for Obama. Okay, so explain yourself.
What it actually more depends on is who chooses to go out and vote. It's less about, there's often this idea in politics, and there's lots of people who are really good on this issue that you could talk to, Rachel Bidikofer and even Frank Luntz, even though he's partisan, I think he would concede this as well. He's
The
on the right.
pollster, you mean,
Yes.
Frank Luntz, yeah.
The idea of the swing independent voter that sometimes on presidential elections will vote for a Republican and sometimes a Democrat, very, very small percentage of people. More common is that a candidate either activates people to vote or those same people just stay home. In the US, we have an embarrassingly low voter turnout. It's between usually 52 and 60%, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So almost half the electorate isn't even voting. It's less about people who vote one way and then another way. It's more about people who say, I'm just going to stay home versus I'm going to go out and vote. If they vote, it's clear.
So you're saying that the middle voter doesn't matter at all?
No, I didn't say that.
So what are you saying then?
I said they matter much less than who is partisan chooses to vote.
But it's fair to say that, okay, if he continues, and there's no COVID, he would get reelected. And do you think let's specifically target the middle? Forget the people on the side that would show up. Okay?
Well, but why? That's
the question I want to do with you right now. So if we specifically focus on the middle, the independent, the libertarians, would they have chosen to stick with Trump, or would most have wanted to replace him with somebody else?
It's a polling question. I don't have the data.
Well, you're the poll guy, so I'm asking you.
I don't have the data in front of me.
Okay, I'd be curious to know. So but you're also correcting me to say that's not true. That's the middle and the independents that didn't elect him. You're saying it's who showed up that elected him.
As a general concept,
Right.
Elections swing less based on independents who sometimes vote Republican and Democrat. That's a small factor. A bigger factor is, are voters activated by their candidate, or are they deactivated where they go, I don't like this person, but I'm definitely not voting for that one. I'll stay home.
So
Isn't it a bit of both, though?
It's a bit of both.
Because
but what
we
I'm
all
saying is
saw
it's
what
more
happened in
one
the
than
Rust
other.
Belt. We've seen countless stories about, I voted for Obama. I'm not racist. I voted for Obama. What are you talking about? I voted for Bush, then I voted for Obama, and then Trump showed up. He made some promises. He was in the Midwest. He was out there. He was reaching out, touching hands. Hillary was too busy in New Mexico and Arizona. I decided to vote for Trump. I was sort of done with Trump. Now I'm back on Biden.
Yeah,
we see so many stories like that, though, these independents.
That's an anecdote. And so I think anecdotes are fine. But one of the things that is important is to zoom out from anecdotes and to look at the broader data. And the other thing that's important is a lot of that cross-voting, it cancels each other out because you see roughly the same amount from one side versus the other. And what I mean by that is there was, if you look at the crossover in 2016, the number of Democrats who decided to vote Trump in 2016 was very similar to the number of Democrats who decided to vote McCain in 2008. So it's a roughly predictable number.
You're talking about Democrats who have switched over. I'm talking about just there's legitimate independents.
I'm giving you just one example. example of this people who go either way or whatever. It's relatively stable and predictable, so it's rarely a difference maker. That's my only point. And we can anecdotes all day. Jim Bob's wife decided to vote Hillary or what. That's totally fine.
But let's do data because you're a data guy.
Yeah.
So if you're a data guy, tell us when you're saying it's not necessarily that the middle would have had Trump.
Yeah.
Would he have needed the middle to get reelected in 2024, in 2020?
He would have needed roughly the same percentage that Republicans tend to need. Trump suffered because on the COVID thing, would he have gotten reelected? It's not only if COVID didn't happen, Trump probably would have gotten reelected. I think if when COVID started, instead of Trump saying, we have 15 cases, soon going to be 0, do flu vaccines work on COVID? What about bleach injections? All that stuff. If instead of that, Trump said, hey, you know what? We're the United States. We're going to deal with this better than anybody else. We're making MAGA masks. And by the way, 50 cents on every dollar will go, his normal fundraising scams, right? Do the scams, but do the MAGA masks. And if he said, we're going to be absolutely the best on this thing, he wins. We saw it in New Zealand. We saw it in other places. It was a missed opportunity. Now, I think it was just a miscalculation in the sense that somewhere Trump probably thought it was really going to go away. I don't know who was around him. I don't know by Easter of 2020, right? I mean, okay. So I think Trump, even if he had just done that, and because we saw,
why though? Why would he have? Why would the independents, the ones in the middle, who are?
It's pretty straightforward, guys. Patrick seems fixated on appealing to this mythical middle, which David Pakman smartly points out isn't as pivotal as Patrick thinks. Patrick's trying to label libertarians as centrist when they're really just right-wingers. David had this killer point. Imagine if Trump, instead of being so vain about not wearing a mask, had just come out and said, look, I'm the manliest man around and real men wear masks. Don't you want to be like me? His MAGA crowd would have lined up in masks so fast, and honestly, Trump might have even clinched the election. But no, he had to play the clown, and well, he lost. And what's the deal with Patrick's co-host Adam? Seems like the right doesn't like him much, but he comes off way sharper and more reasonable than Patrick, at least from what I can tell. So, who do you think came out on top in this debate? Pakman slicing through the nonsense or Patrick? If you want to check out the whole fiery debate, hit up Patrick Bet David's Valuetainment channel. It's a solid watch. And don't forget, hit like, subscribe, let's keep this channel growing. More debates, more breakdowns coming your way. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video.